So sa akin po is what is performance management. Yung performance management po halimbawa yung performance management yung namamahala sa kumpanya na halimbawa yung supervisor ng kumpanya tumawag siya ng isang empleyado sa opisina para ipaalam yung iba't ibang layunin ng kumpanya, feedback at yung mga inaasahan niyang resulta. Tapos yung halimbawa ng pagpupulong sa pagsubaybay sa isang manggagawa at supervisor upang suriin katuparan ng mga nakatakdang layunin. Yun po yung yung what is performance management. Next po is staffing. Staffing refers to HR planning, acquisition and development aimed at providing the talent necessary for organization success. So, example po ng staffing, halimbawa po sa event, sila pa yung nagmamanage dito para mas mapabuti at mapaganda yung magpe-perform. Ganun din po sa company. Parang ganun rin po siya sa company. Halimbawa, may kulang sa company, siya po yung hahanap ng paraan para mas mapabuti po yung company. Ganun po yung yung staffing. So dito po, next is the staffing process consists of the following. Number 1, job analysis, recruitment, selection, socialization. Ayun na po, tulad ng sinabi ko sa job analysis, yung next po is the staffing process consists of the following. Number 1 is job analysis. So yung job analysis po yung yung pagsuri ng trabaho. Ganun po siya, yung titignan mo po ba yung trabaho niya is good ba o hindi. Number 2 is recruitment. Yun nga po, tulad ng sabi ko kanina, yung kapag halimbawa may kulang sa ganito, yung halimbawa sa accounting kulang ng isa, nahihirapan sila, is kailangan mo mag-recruit pa ng isa para mas mapaganda at mapabilis pa yung proseso. Number 3 po is selection. Siyempre pipiliin mo rin po yung mga i-recruit mo. Like for example, nag-recruit ka tapos nilagay mo siya sa computer, hindi naman siya magaling sa computer, mas magaling siya sa ibang bagay. Sayang lang rin po, hindi niya magagamit na maayos yung skills niya. Number 4 po is socialization. Siyempre dapat yung pipiliin mo is yung marunong makitungo. Anin mo yung magaling nga pero ma-attitude naman po, hindi niya makakasundo yung mga iba niyang katrabaho kung ganun siya ma-attitude. So yun po yung apat na sa the staffing process consists of the following. Yung job analysis po, pagsusuri sa trabaho ay ang proseso ng pangangalap at pagsusuri ng impormasyon tungkol sa nilalaman at mga pangangailangan ng tao sa trabaho. Gayon din ang konteksto kung saan isinasagawa ang mga trabaho. Ang proseso ito ay ginagamit upang matukoy ang paglalagay ng mga trabaho sa ilalim ng NU values. Ang paggawa ng desisyon sa lugar na ito ay ibinibahagi ng mga unit at human resources. Yun po yung example ng job analysis. Next po is recruitment. Recruitment. After job analysis, the next step in the staffing process is a drawing of people to apply for various positions. Identify this as school recruitment, and it may define as a human resources management practice designed to locate and attract job applicants for particular position. So yung recruitment po, alam naman po natin yung recruitment. For example po, yung isang organization is nangangailangan ng 5 tao. So magre-recruit ka ng 5 tao na papasok doon. Is pipiliin mo rin po yung pipiliin mo rin yung is magagaling para para sa organisasyon na nangangailangan. Yun po yung recruitment. Meron pong dalawang klase ng recruitment, internal and external. So yung internal po, ito yung proseso para sa pag-akit ng mga aplikante ng trabaho mula sa mga kasalukuyang nagtatrabaho para sa kumpanya. So number one, it is good public relation. It builds morale. It encourages good individuals who are ambitious. It improves the probability of a good selection since information on the individual performance is readily available. So yun lang po.
Hello everyone, my name is Diana May Alcreador and I will continue about the internal advantages. So number 5 is, it is costly than external recruitment. So dito naman is, mas mahal daw yung sa internal kaysa sa external. Kasi sa external is maglaan ka pa rin ng mga resources at oras para sa pag-screen, training at pag-develop ng skills ng isang empleyado mo sa loob ng isang kumpanya. Kaysa naman sa external na pwede kang humanap ng may kasanayan na or karanasan sa isang kumpanya. So number 6 is those chosen internally already know the organization. So sabi dito is yung mga napili is doon ka pag pumili ka doon sa loob ng isang organization nyo is may alam na agad sila kung paano ito patakbuhin or paano na nila ito gawin. So, number 7 is when carefully planned, promoting from within can also act the training device for developing middle and top level managers. So, dito naman sa number 7 is like example yung pagpili mo sa isang employee na maayos yung kanyang pagtatrabaho at may potential sila na maging isang leader at pagbibigyan mo sila ng isang oportunidad na magkaroon pa ng mas mataas na responsibilidad at pag-unlad sa kanilang mga pagtakbo. So, the disadvantages naman of internal recruitment consists of the following. Number 1, it can be dysfunctional to the organization to utilize the inferior internal resources only because they are when excellent candidates are available on the outside. So, dito naman daw is, sabi niya dito is maaaring hindi sa kanila maging effect sa isang organization ang paggamit ng mababang kalidad or position sa internal resources. So dahil lamang nasa loob lang sila na kahit na may mga magagaling na or mas magaling pa dun sa external or sa panlabas na pwede kang mag-recruit pa. So dito naman tayo sa method of internal recruitment. There are several methods of internal recruitment. These are the following. So, number 1 is computerized career progression. One that store extensive amount of information about employees of a company. It is useful means of recruiting people currently employed by the organization. Dito naman sa computerized is dito na sila gumagamit ng mga teknolohiya like sa mga software. Dito na makikita yung mga profile, mga background, mga experience, mga work experience nila, mga skills, mga ganun po. And then, supervisor recommendation. When the supervisor needs to fill a certain vacancy in his unit, he is the best positioned to identify the person who fits the job. He can be asked to nominate internal candidates. So, number 2 is dito nagre-recommendation yung mga supervisor. Like, ako is naging supervisor ako ng isang department namin ng isang department namin ng tinatawag na example na ABC Company. And may bakanting position ako para sa tinatawag ko na sales team leader. Like ganon, sa aming department. So dahil kilala ko yung mga empleyado ko at nakikita ko yung mga potential nila na maging isang leader, ay nag-desisyon ako na gumawa ng isang supervisor recommendation. Next. So, next is job posting, a method of internal recruitment in which a job vacancy notice is posted and all qualified employees may bid. So, pag may bakante silang mga posisyon, is dun sila nag-a-announce or dun nila pinapaskill sa loob ng isang organization. So, and next one is career development system. So, sa career development system naman, is halimbawa is sa isang kumpanya ay may mga empleyadong may potential at may mataas na kakayahan na binibigyan ng mga special na training or oportunidad upang sila ay ma-assign sa position na may mas mataas o responsibilidad o leadership role sa mga gagampanin na trabaho. And the next one is internal recruitment. It is a process of attracting job applicants from outside the organization. So, ibig sabihin ng internal recruitment is sa labas sila nag-recruit, hindi sa loob ng organization. So, this is my methods of external recruitment. The number one is employee referrals. So, employee referrals is a method of recruitment in which organization asks their employees to solicit application from qualified friends and associates. So, sa employee referrals ay isang kumpanya ng mga empleyado maaaring mag-recommend ng mga kaibigan na may karanasan sa field o kinakailangan ng isang kumpanya. So the advantages of these methods are: number one, applicants referred by employees tend to perform better with the organization longer than applicants recruited by other means. So sabi dito sa number one is yung mga nire-recommend na mga employees aplikante is may mga posibleng mas mahusay na mag-perform sa organization na kaysa sa ibang applicant na matagal pa na pagproseso. So, number two is employees tend to be good recruiters because they know a lot about both the job being filled and the individual and can therefore accurately judge the fit character to fall under the job requirements. So, sa number two, yung mga aplikante daw is mas may husay na recruit dahil alam na nila yung mga maraming bagay tungkol sa mga trabaho sa kanilang kumpanya at marunong silang magsuri ng aplikante na kung magaling ba ito or bagay ba sila sa pinapasukat nilang trabaho. So, sa number three is employees make good recruiters because believing their reputation is on the line, they are encouraged to refer only the highest qualified applicants. So, number 3 naman, ang employees daw ay magagaling ng mag-recruit dahil naniniwala sila na sa kanila ang reputasyon ay kanilang stake. Kaya naman sila ay na-encourage na i-refer lamang ang pinakamahusay na applicant na tama or karapatang makuha doon sa isang trabaho. So, the next one is the disadvantages of this method is the limited choice offered to the organization. Employees tend to recruit only those they know. So, minsan, di ba, pag may nag-recruit tayo is yung iba na, ay, sabi niya kamag-anak ko yung nag-apply or kaibigan ko at sasabihin na sila yung tatanggapin mo. Pero, minsan, tinanggap mo sila tapos hindi mo alam na, hindi nila alam kung ano bang, kung qualified ba sila dito sa mga sa papasukan nilang trabaho. So the next one is applicant initiative recruitment. Is a method of external recruitment is to which an organization accepts unsolicited applicants or resumes from individuals interested in working for the organization. So dito naman sa applicant initiative recruitment, dito naman yung mga like tumatanggap sila ng mga resumes, application letters para sa mga interesado magtrabaho sa kanilang organization. So, sa advantages of this method are number one, it is both efficient and low cost. So, dito naman is maaaring maging mabisa at mababang gastos. So, sa number 2 naman, ang sabi that the candidates are likely to be highly motivated since they have taken the time to learn about the organization. So, sabi dito is yung mga ibang candidates daw is the highly motivated dahil lang sila sa araw upang alamin yung tungkol sa organization. Naglaan na sila ng oras. So, sa disadvantage din niya, may disadvantage din sa oras din. Parang na ano na sila sa oras na nasasayangan ng panahon, parang ganun. So, the next one is help-wanted advertisement. So, is a method of external recruitment which an organization places an advertisement for the position and the appropriate media such as newspaper, magazine, and the like. So, dito naman is like sa mga pinopost nila sa mga social media, sa mga newspaper, like that, para humanap sila ng mga position na bakante. So, sa advantage niya is of this method is that it allows the organization to reach a large audience in a relatively short period of time. So, dito naman, yung advantage niya is maraming makakakita or mapapadali yung paghahanap ng isang empleyado. So, the next one is the disadvantage is that studies found out that people hired through newspaper advertisement perform their job less efficiently and are absent from work more often than those hired through other recruiting methods. So, dito naman sa disadvantage niya is yung nakahanap nga ng pamadalian pero naman parang hindi epektibo sa kanilang trabaho kumpara sa mga ibang paraan ng pag-a-apply. So, sa private employment agency and executive search firms, dito naman, di ko nababasahin, sa private employment is yung parang sila na lang yung hahanap ng empleyado na kakailangan mo sa isang kumpanya. Like halimbawa, yung isang kumpanya is humingi ng tulong sa private employment agency para makahanap ng isang executive level na empleyado na may mga special na kasanayan or may mga karanasan na. And the last one is campus recruiting. So, sa campus recruiting, sa mga sa university, like may doon sila pumupunta at humahanap ng mga graduatings, like humanap sa mga graduatings na engineering para sa kanilang kumpanya.
Hello everyone, I'm Mildred Alcantara. The next is selection. After recruitment, the next steps in the staffing process is selection. This involves assessing and choosing among jobs candidates. When we say selection, ang unang pumapasok sa ating isip kapag narinig yung word na selection is ito ang pagpili. Halimbawa, sa isang company, may mga may mga nag-a-apply sa isang company na kung saan may isang employee na siya yung pipili o magse-select ng mga possible na nakapasa or mag-a-undergo sa interview. We have the selection process involves the following steps. The first one is completing the application form. Second one, conducting an interview. Third, completing any necessary test. Fourth, background investigation. Fifth, physical and medical examination. And last, a decision to hire or not. Importante ang mga steps na ito lalo na kapag tayo ay nag-a-apply sa isang company. The next one is socialization. It involves orienting new employee to the organization and its work units, especially the work units where the newly hired employee will be working. Dito ino-orient yung mga new employees sa isang organization or work units nila para sa ganun malaman nila yung mga pwede nilang malaman sa loob ng isang organization. In socialization, the new employees are provided with information about the following: key organization factors, which includes an overview of the organization, policies and procedures, compensation, benefits, safety and accidents preventions, employee and union relations, physical facilities, and economic factors. Dito malalaman ng new employee yung mga policies and procedures ng isang company or organization na napasukan niya, yung kung ano yung mga benefits, safety and accident preventions, employee and union relations, physical facilities niya, and economic factors. Dahil dito, magkakaroon siya ng idea. Second, department and job-related issues including department functions. Dito naman makita yung job duties and responsibilities ng isang employee sa loob ng isang organization, yung policies niya, rules, procedures, and regulations, kasama din doon. Bali same rin sila ng number 1. And dapat sa isang group, marunong ka rin makipag-socialize or makipagsalamuha sa mga kagrupo mo. Hindi pwedeng sila may ginagawa, ikaw nakaupo lang. Dapat marunong tayong makipag-socialize sa kanila. Nang sa ganun, yung mga bagay na hindi natin alam or gusto nating malaman is pwede nating tanungin sa kanila at matutulungan nila tayo sa pamamagitan ng pagsagot ng mga tanong natin. Next, training and career planning and development. Dito naman, after the selection efforts, the organization will have to undertake measures that will ensure that the knowledge, skills, and abilities of the employees are at par with the requirements of their respective jobs. Dito, titingnan nila kung yung employee ba na i-hire nila is tugma ba sa mga trabahong in-applyan niya. At dito rin malalaman kung ano yung mga kaalaman niya patungkol sa trabaho na yun at yung mga abilities niya. Meron tayong tinatawag na training kung saan tinitrain yung mga employee na mabago yung kanilang behavior, yung attitudes or opinions, at saka yung types of guided experience nila. There are many ways to conduct training programs and they may be classified as follows. Number 1, on-the-job training and off-the-job training. On-the-job training o mas kilala natin as OJT. Alam kong familiar kayo sa salitang OJT kasi nung senior high tayo is nakapag-OJT rin naman yung iba sa atin na kung saan kapag tayo ay nag-OJT, doon natin mararanasan yung mga ginagawa ng mga employee sa isang organization. Then, doon din natin na-observe yung mga ginagawa nila sa kanilang workplace. Dito rin natin masusubukan gawin yung mga trabaho na ginagawa nila. Medyo mahirap pero masaya kasi nga nararagdagan yung kaalaman natin. The most common forms of on-the-job trainings are, the first one is internships. Internships are opportunities for students to gain real-world experience. Dito mararanasan nila yung tinatawag na professional learning experience that offers meaningful practical work related to the student fields of study or career interest. Halimbawa, teacher or e-doc kinuha mong course. So, kapag ikaw ay nasa 4th year na, dito mo mararanasan yung tinatawag nilang internships or OJT na kung saan mararanasan mo ang pagtuturo sa ibang mga estudyante tulad ng ginagawa ng isang licensed teacher. The next is apprenticeships. Involve learning a trade from an experienced worker. Ito yung mga bagay na natututunan natin o napag-aaralan natin mula sa ibang tao or mula sa mga nakakasalamuha natin. Halimbawa, kapag marami tayong alam na gagawin, hindi lang tayo nakafocus sa isang gawain kundi may mga backup pa tayo or plan B na tinatawag. Kapag halimbawa natanggal ka man sa trabaho na ito, then may iba ka pang alam na trabaho, maaari kang mag-apply sa isang company na yun. Lalo na kung alam mo yung trabaho na hinahire nila. Next, job rotation. Provide a broad range of experience and different kinds of job in an organization. Dito sa job rotation, dito natin mararanasan yung iba't ibang klaseng ng trabaho. Halimbawa, sa isang hospital, naka-assign ka sa ward kung saan doon ikaw yung mag-check ng mga pasyente, kukuha ng mga vital signs. Then, after a week, ililipat ka nila sa OPD kung saan doon mo mararanasan mag-check up ng mga pasyente na nagpapa-check up. At nang sa ganun, mabigyan sila ng gamot. Then, ganun lang siya, rotation nga, palit-palit kayo. Parang, depende sa organization nyo kung ilang buwan or weeks kayong magro-rotate bago magpapalit-palit ng trabaho, ay, ng gawain. The next one is off-the-job training. This type of training deals with work skills and settings away from their ordinary work. So, ang pinagkaiba nito sa on-the-job training is, sa on-the-job training, mas napapabilis yung pag-promote nila, especially sa learning process ng company nila. And sa off-the-job training naman, dito yung part siya ng training program or training needs analysis. The various of the job training techniques are, we have 6 techniques. The first one is classroom lectures. This consists of lectures designed to communicate specific interpersonal, technical, or problem-solving skills. The main reason we lecture is to add something to the information that the student acquired through other materials. So sa pamamagitan ng pagle-lecture, nararagdagan yung kaalaman natin bilang estudyante about sa mga bagay-bagay. Next, videos and films. Use media production to demonstrate specialized skills that are not easily presented by other training methods. So, gumagamit sila ng mga videos and films para nang sa gayon mas makita o mas maipakita nila yung mga special skills na hindi siya not easily presented by the other training methods. So, yun. Third is simulation exercises occurs by actually performing the work. This may include this analysis, experiential exercise, role-playing, or group decision-making. Some examples nito is yung computer simulation, madaling familiar to most of us, in yung weather forecasting, flight simulators used for training pilots. Familiar naman tayo sa weather forecasting kasi sa pamamagitan nun mas naipapakita kung ano yung nangyayari sa mga panahon, mga ganyan. Kung ano nangyayari sa mga ibang lugar, nagiging aware tayo. Next, computer-based training simulates the work environment by programming a computer to imitate some of the realities of the job. Sa computer-based training, nakapaloob dito yung programming a computer. Iba pa rin kasi kapag marunong tayong gumamit ng mga technology and digital resources to for delivering educational content. Malaki yung maitutulong nito sa atin. At syempre sa trabaho rin, makakatulong rin ito sa atin. The next one is vestibule training, done on actual equipment used on the job but conducted away from the actual work setting, which is actually a simulated workstation. An approach to personal training in which new employees, before starting their work or work duties, they spend some time learning in special section or vestibule. Last is program instruction. Ito namang program instruction, most appropriate siya na example na latest concept of instructional technology. Kasama dito yung computer tutorials, interactive video desks, or virtual reality simulation. So, sa pamamagitan nito, mas ma-enhance or matutulungan tayo o mapapadali yung mga bagay-bagay para sa atin. Next, career planning and development. Organization needs to grow and develop, and this is possible if the individual workers, including managers, are given the opportunity to grow and develop. Yung career planning is the process of evaluating and choosing the job that best suit your personality, skills, and interest. Career development is the ongoing learning and goal refining that follow as you continue to grow. Next one is career. May be defined as the pattern of work-related experiences that span the course of a person's life. It refers to an individual's chosen profession or occupation. Your career can include one or many jobs throughout your lifetime, and the actions, decisions, and paths you take to develop on your profession. A career usually uses your skills and talents while providing personal fulfillment and sense of purpose.
Good day, my name is Chikamim Hajaron from PSPA HRM1 Block 1. Career stages. It refers to the different phases na pinagdadaanan ng bawat tao or individual sa kanilang mga professional lives. It includes the establishment, advancement, maintenance, and retirement stage. Establishment stage. During this first stage, a person learns the basic elements of the job. Like for example, pag-graduate mo at nag-apply ka ng trabaho at natanggap ka sa trabaho na yon, syempre you need to know the organization's rules and regulations first. And hindi ka agad-agad magaling sa trabaho na i-assign sa'yo. At dahil baguhan ka pa lang, kailangan mo pa ng support sa mga seniors mo. Nag-expect ka pa ng tulong mula sa kanila, dependent ka pa sa mga seniors mo, at yun yung example ng establishment stage. In other words, in-establish mo pa lang o nagsisimula ka pa lang doon sa career mo. Advancement stage. Dito sa advancement stage, mas nagpo-focus ang stage na to sa high achievements and employee development. Karamihan na individual sa stage na to ay nasa middle adulthood na nag-e-age ng 26 to 40 years old. Dito sa stage na to, from the name itself, ay nag-a-advance ka na from newbie na kailangan pang turuan at nadepende pa sa mga seniors niya to an upgrade version of yourself or someone na meron ng pinanghawakang title such as real estate representative, real estate manager, vice manager, and the likes sa organization. And also, he is expected to rely less on direction from others. During the maintenance stage, ang employee daw po ay makakapag-experience siya ng tuloy-tuloy na pag-growth ng kanyang performance and accomplishments. At posible rin siya maka-encounter ng career stability. Sometimes, a further change in employers ay necessary siya para makasustain sa pag-advance or ng advancement. But, meron po itong like disadvantage. Kagaya na lang ng posibleng mawala ang career flexibility ng isang employee. And this may be a result of personal considerations such as limited interest in learning new skills, organizational considerations such as a basic lack of opportunity, and family considerations that make it difficult to change jobs or to take additional. Sa maintenance stage din, ay pwedeng maka-encounter ang employee ng tinatawag na career plateau. A career plateau is a situation in which, for either organizational or personal reason, the probability of moving up the career ladder is low. For example, if the employee reach the highest level ng kanilang position, it is possible that they may feel bored and unchallenged kasi wala nang room for advancement or growth, and magre-result ito ng lack of motivation and job satisfaction. Ang career plateau ay merong 3 types. First is the structural plateau, which marks the end of promotions and the affected employee will now have to leave the organization to find new opportunities and challenges. Sa structural plateau, ito yung piniprevent ng organization ang mga employee from moving up sa kadahilan ng merong shortage of ranks on the promotional ladder. The career of the employee stops when there are no other higher positions that can be filled. At dahil nga wala ng positions for the employee, yung posibilidad ng promotions ay mababawasan na magre-result na mas stuck ang employee sa kanyang current position or maghahanap siya ng kumpanya na makakapagbigay sa kanya ng mas mataas pang posisyon na hindi maibigay ng kanyang current organization. The second is content plateau, which occurs when a person has learned a job too well and is bored with day-to-day activities. Sa content plateau, working for years sa organization will make an employee to gain knowledge about the different tasks given to him or her every day. In this kind of career plateau, nakaka-experience ang mga employee ng lack of challenge in their job dahil sa memorize na nila ang everyday process sa kanilang work at dahil nga araw-araw nang ginagawa iyon ng employee ay yung challenge or hardness ng job ay wala na. And kung sa content plateau ay hindi na challenging ang mga employee sa kanilang trabaho, and this third type of a career plateau, the job and the life of an employee is affected. This is the life plateau, which occurs when an employee experiences a loss of identity and self-esteem when there is no longer success in his work area. And the life plateau po, the employee feels like nagtatrabaho lang sila for nothing. They feels like they're living their life sa paulit-ulit na paraan na kung anong ginawa nila kahapon, yun din yung gagawin nila ngayon, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and so on. Parang feeling nila para silang mga robot na may nakaset na kaagad sa system nila kung ano lang ang pwede nilang gawin, parang mga NPC sa game na paulit-ulit lang ang mga sinasabi. Ganun ang pakiramdam ng mga employee kapag nakakaranas na sila ng life plateau. Yung ganitong klase ng mga career plateau can cause a serious problem in the organization because they tend to think negative in everything. Magkakos ito ng mga pagbabago sa performance, productivity, and satisfaction sa mga employees as they tend to invest less sa kanilang time and effort sa kanilang mga trabaho. The retirement stage is that stage when formal preparation for its retirement is made. The individual learns to accept the reduced role and less responsibility. Dito po sa stage na to, like retirement is the withdrawal from one's position or occupation. A person may also semi-retire by reducing work hours or workload. Karamihan sa mga employee na nagre-retire ay yung mga may edad na or incapable na silang gawin yung naka-assign sa kanilang work due to health reasons. Performance appraisal. It is a key aspect of performance management. It may define as the process of evaluating the performance of employees, sharing that information with them, and searching for ways to improve their performance. Performance appraisal is a process for evaluating and documenting kung gaano kasipag, kagaling, at kamotivated ang employee sa kanyang job. It is part of a company's performance management system. Ang performance appraisal ay based sa progress ng isang employee. Meron itong functions, 5 functions. First is to give employees feedback on performance. Kapag ba may nagawa ang employee na maayos sa kanyang trabaho, pwede mo siyang i-praise doon sa ginawa niya. Or kung nakagawa man siya ng mistake sa trabaho niya, pwede mo siyang bigyan ng advice para magawa niya ito ng tama. Then, second is to identify the employee's developmental needs. Sa performance appraisal, kailangan mo ring i-identify kung ano ba yung mga kailangan ng employees mo dyan sa company or sa organizations nyo. Third is to make promotion and reward decisions. Kung sino man yung mga magagaling na employees, mo silang i-promote or bigyan ng rewards. Fourth is to make demotion and termination decisions. Kung sino man yung mga employees na hindi nila ginagawa ng maayos yung kanilang mga trabaho, laging late sa work, hindi sila nagbibigay ng effort para sa trabaho nila, pwede mo silang i-demote or i-terminate sa inyong organization or sa company niya. Last is to develop information about the organization's selection and placement decision. There are certain criteria for performance appraisal. The three most popular sets of criteria are individual task outcomes, behavior, and threats. Individual task outcomes. One way of appraising performance is evaluating the employee's task outcomes. Yung task outcomes po na tinutukoy is yung commitments, job satisfaction, and intention to live ng isang employee sa organization. Next is behavior. Also, one way of appraising the performance of employees is evaluating their behavior. Sa behavior, it includes the effort, motivation, and cooperation of an employee to an organization. The last one is traits. Marami daw organization ang gumagamit ng traits as criteria to appraise their employees' performance. However, it has a very weak means. The traits commonly used as basis for performance appraisal include good attitude, showing confidence, being defendable, looking busy, and possessing a wealth of brilliance. The process of performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is process in an organization whereby each employee is evaluated to determine how he or she is performing. It consists of the following steps, but it will going to be reported by the next reporter. Thank you, that's all.
Good day, ma'am. My name is Aina May Kendong. This is my report. These are the steps of the process of performance appraisal in a business settings. This process is used to evaluate an employee's performance in relation to their job responsibilities and organization goals. First is establishment of performance standard. Establishment of performance standards are the criteria against which an employee's performance will be evaluated. They are usually based on the job description and organization goals. Example, the settings goal of employees is to respond their customer inquiries within 24 hours. So the supervisor or the boss evaluating their employees based on their performance or how they assist their customer. Second is mutually set measurable goals are specific quantifiable targets that employee is expected to achieve within a certain time frame. Number 3 is measure actual performance. This involves observing and recording the employee's actual performance against the set goals. Example, the boss is observing and recording a performance of their employees around the company. Number 4 is compare actual performance and standard. This step involves comparing the employee's actual performance with the established standard to determine if they are meeting its goal or achieved. Example, they compare the skills of their employee if they achieve the establishment standard of their company. Number 5 is discuss the appraisal with the employee. This is a crucial step where the manager or supervisor discuss the appraisal result with the employee, providing feedback and discussing areas of improvement. Example, providing feedback on their performance, highlighting areas of improvement and recognizing their achievement during one-on-one meeting. Number 6 if necessary, initiate corrective action. So, if employee is not meeting their performance standard, corrective action may be taken. This could involve additional training, reassignment, or even termination is in extreme cases. So, example, if employee not attending in the meeting, the boss might another task to him or to her. Performance standard are those by which performance is to be evaluated. It should be clearly defined and communicated to the employee. So, This criteria against which employee performance is measured should be clearly defined and communicated to employee to ensure that they understand what is expected to them. Next is measuring performance. Measuring performance is the third step in the appraisal process to determine what actual performance is. It is necessary to acquire information about it. So, these are four information may be derived from following sources. First is personal observation. Personal observation involves observing the employee's behavior and action in their role. This can provide a direct insight into their performance. So example, like supervisor or the boss closely monitoring their employees' work habits and interaction with their customer. Number two is statistical report. Statistical report can provide quantitative data about the employee's performance, such as their productivity or the quality of their work. So, example, they analyzing data or provide guidelines to identify trends. Number three is oral reports. Can provide a verbal account of the employee's performance, often of their members or manager. So example, in a company they are presenting or discussing the result of their project business during a team meeting. So number four is written report. Written report can provide detailed account of the employee's performance, often of their own work records or self-esteem. Example, they're recording their own work in the company. Methods of performance appraisal. There are three different approaches which can be used for appraising employee. First is absolute standard. Absolute standards is this approach, the subject of appraisal is not compared with other person. Consists of various methods such as the essay appraisal, the critical incident appraisal, the checklist, the adjective rating scale, force choice, and behaviorally anchored rating skills. Number two is relative standard. Relative standard approach, the subject of appraisal is compared with other person. Often should when the performance of an employee is evaluated in relation of the performance of others. And number three, objectives. Objectives is evaluated based on the achievements of specific objectives or goals. The ASA appraisal. The ASA appraisal is a performance appraisal method whereby an appraiser writes a narrative about the employee. Example, the read, teacher's written feedback on a student essay. They highlighting the strength, weaknesses, and areas of improvement. This the disadvantages, however, are the following. Time costing is a method requires a detailed description of an employee performance. Example, researching and writing a comprehensive academic paper. Number two is the quality of appraisal. The quality of the appraisal may be influenced by the appraiser writing skills and composition style, making it subjectivity. Example, true and constructive performance review that provides detailed feedback to an employee on their strength areas for improvement and professional development goals. Number three is it tends to be subjective and may not focus on relevant aspects of job performance. Next is critical incident appraisal. Critical incident appraisal is a performance appraisal method which requires effective or ineffective performance for each employee being appraised. This method is more objective as it focuses on a specific incident rather than overall performance. Example of critical incident appraisal. An evaluation of an employee, a performance based on specific significant event or situation, such as successfully handling a major customer complaint. Next is checklist. Checklist is a performance appraisal method wherein the evaluator uses a list of behavioral description and check of those behavior that apply to the employee. This method is straightforward, can be used to compare employees against a standard set of criteria. Example, a standardized form used to evaluate an employee's job-related skills and competences against a predetermined set of criteria. Advantage of the checklist method is that it reduces some bias since the rater and the scorer are different. The disadvantages is when there are many jobs categories, a checklist of items must be prepared for each job categories, and that is costly in terms of materials and time consumed. Ad- Adjective rating scale, also known as graphic rating scale, is a performance appraisal method that lists a number of traits and a range of performance each. Example of adjective rating scale is an appraisal that uses descriptive terms like outstanding, exceed, expectation, meets expectation, needs improvement, and unsatisfactory to evaluate an employee's performance. The advantage of adjective rating scale is that it is practical of cost little to develop. First is it does not clearly indicate what a person must do to achieve a given rating. Number two, it does not provide a good mechanism for providing specific, non-threatening feedback. And number three, accurate ratings are not likely to be achieved because the points on the rating scale are not clearly defined. Forced choice appraisal. Forced choice appraisal is a type of performance appraisal in which the rater must choose between two or more specific statements about an employee's work behavior. Example, performance evaluation where an rater is required to select a predetermined set of statements that best describe employee behavior or skills. Behaviorally anchored rating scale or bars. It's a rating instrument comprised of traits anchored by job behavior. Appraise select the behavior that best describe the work performance level. The greatest advantage of bars is its ability to direct and monitor behavior. Then the weaknesses of bars is the difficulty of selecting the one behavior on the skills that it most indicative of the employee's performance level. And that's all. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Jessamine Laya at ito po yung topic ko, relative standards. Ito po yung kapag may nagawa yung isa din, i-compare ka po doon. Like, halimbawa na lang po sa pamilya, kapag may nagawang maganda yung pinsan mo, i-compare ka po doon. The next naman po ay growth order ranking. Ito po yung team employee compared to the another team employee din. Si manager magbibigay ng percent sa kanila sa mga performance po nila. Then ang next naman po ay individual ranking. Ang example naman po nito yung sa top ranking ng elementary or high school na kung sino po yung may mas mataas na nakuwang average, siya po yung top ranking. Then, ang next naman po yung fair comparison. Example naman po nito yung may sinalihan kang contest, then pare-pareho naman po kayong magagaling pero dapat isa lang po yung pwedeng manalo. The next naman po yung objectives. This approach, also known as management by objectives or MBO, it is a process of joint of goal setting between a superior and a subordinate. Then ito naman po yung process ng manager at employee na nagkakasundo po sa mga specific performance din. Pagkatapos ubuo sila ng plano para maabot nila yung mga gusto nilang goals. Then ang next naman po ay goal setting. Ito naman po yung magpo-focus ka sa position mo ngayon para mas ma-achieve mo pa yung gusto mong position. Then ang next naman po yung action planning. Ito naman po yung example nito, yung kapag may bago kayong launching product, kailangan mong alamin yung mga detalye nito at paghandaan ito kung kailan. Then ang next naman is yung self-control. Kailangan ipakita mo na hindi ka, like, kapag mayroon kang hindi narinig na maganda tungkol sa'yo, like, ganun po. Kailangan mong i-controlin na yung sarili mo na wag patulan para hindi mapiktuhan yung position mo. Then ang next naman po ay periodic reviews. Ito po yung pagsusuri sa isang kumpanya kung maayos pa po ba yung proseso at mga resulta ng kanilang company. Then ang next naman po ay errors and performance appraisal. Ito naman po yung kapag hindi maayos yung valuation ng isang empleyado, pwede pong makakapekto sa pag-unlad ng kanilang company. Then next po ay the following are brief descriptions of errors and performance appraisal. Number 1 po ay hollow error. Ito naman po yung example mo nito, yung sa isang company, kapag may isang worker nakakita-kit o maganda, isipin po nila na marami na itong natanggap na promotion or may na-assign, or kapag may na-assign na sa'yo na isang project, isipin ng iba na magaling ka at mahusay ka. Then ang next naman po ay leniency error. Ito naman po yung sa isang workplace, pwedeng i-rate ng supervisor ang kanyang empleyado ng mas positive kaysa sa nararapat sa kanila dahil sa kanilang hindi maayos na performance. Next naman po ay recency error. Example naman po nito yung magre-report ka dahil ayaw mong mauna, kinausap mo si leader nyo at sinabihan mo na ikaw ang huling magre-report, or kaya sa laro, pinayagan mo mauna yung kabilang team pero yung kabilang team hindi mo pinayagan. Next naman po ay personal bias. Example naman po nito yung merong contest at isa sa mga contestant ay kaibigan mo. Syempre kaibigan mo, tataasan mo yung rate sa kanya, or sa isang laro, may age kung ilang taon ang required na sumali. Pero dahil gusto mo sumali yung pinsan mong 14 pa lang at 15 yung required, pero pinasali mo. Yun po. Yun lang po.